This is probably what you think of when you hear about someone sailing the world. But for every one person basking in a Greek sunset or bathing under a Tahitian waterfall, there's 100 of us slaving away trying to fix our boats and waiting our turn. Someone once said that sailing the world is really just endless boat repairs in exotic places. And let me tell you, they weren't wrong. All we have done is fix stuff ever since we bought this boat. This is the dirty side of boat life that most people leave out of their videos, because who wants to see boat work when you can look at beaches and bikinis? But
the girls were doing everything they could to get his attention.
What was I saying? But if you're a glutton for punishment like me, you just might enjoy what's coming up. There's gonna be so much boat work, some van work, epic sailing with the fam, and more boat work.
Enough is enough. I just can't take this anymore.
Oh, and my wife rage quits her job to come sailing with me.
Hey. Yes? I just wanted you...
But wait, let's start here. In this month-and-a-half stretch, we start at the west end of Panama in Bocas del Toro and hop along the coast from marina to marina, desperately trying to get our boat truly seaworthy. Our ultimate goal is to sail this boat 2 weeks across the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico back home to Texas. First thing on the list, our battery bank. Because this carbon monoxide alarm started going off, I woke up, threw it outside in the salon and went back to sleep. And then I woke back up and was like, this is how people die. I looked under the bed and into the battery bank, and it was about 115 degrees in here. Which means they were being overcharged, and it makes sense because these batteries are super old and have a bunch of shorted out cells. Well, apparently when lead acid batteries are overcharged, they release hydrogen sulfide, which also sets off carbon monoxide alarms. Except hydrogen sulfide is way worse than carbon monoxide. It's poisonous, corrosive, flammable, and it smells like rotten eggs. And that's when I realized my batteries were completely shot. So we gotta pull all these batteries out. They're really freaking heavy. They're the 8D size batteries. There's 6 of them. I've got a bunch of spare batteries up top to just hold us over until we can figure out a better solution. These are the house batteries that run everything in the boat aside from the engines. All electronics, lights, pumps. If you saw the last video where the autopilot kept giving out, it's because these batteries weren't putting out enough power. And we can't sail back to Texas without the autopilot. This is pretty standard. Loosen the nuts, remove the terminals, and make sure you don't touch any of the red wires to the black ones. Except this is an ex-charter boat, so they jerry-rigged everything. The connectors were mismatched and the nuts were all different sizes. I just realized these batteries need to come out perfectly straight because there's so little clearance on the sidewalls. Come straight up! This is why I always lose weight when I'm living on the boat. I'm basically doing a set of deadlifts here, and then I gotta drag them all the way up the stairs. Oh God, this is why we need lithiums. So much weight for so little power. These lead acid batteries are 150 pounds each. Lithium ions are half that weight and double the usable power. Oh my gosh, so heavy, so heavy. My dream, one day, all of these, everything you see before you will be lithium. Lithium for all. Okay, 1,000 pounds of batteries moved, and we're only halfway through. I bought these cute little batteries at a hole in the wall in St. Martin called Shrimpy's Laundry. It's run by a guy named Mike that's been there forever. He had taken them in on trade, but he swore they were like new. These are all old. Bought them a year ago when they were already 2 years old. We had just bought the boat and I thought I needed spares for everything. So I've been hauling these around ever since. Let's install these 6 batteries and hopefully they don't start smoking as well. Just to give you an idea, we could replace this entire battery bank, all 6 batteries, for about $1,700 back in Texas. But here in the Caribbean, they wanted $1,200 each. So I guess being prepared actually paid off, or so I thought. Everything always takes 10 times as long. It looks beautiful though. 6 batteries, wired in. All in, I should have at least 1.5 kilowatts usable, which should be just enough to run the autopilot through the night without the engines running. That's our goal. We'll see if it works. It didn't work, but we weren't gonna figure that out until we sailed to Shelter Bay. It did look good though. Now we just had to charge them up.
It's 1:45 in the morning. David is trying to rig something.
Our boat doesn't have a generator, so I borrowed a portable one, but we still had to do some splicing.
This is the only thing that fits that shore power plug of our boat.
I stole the plug off of this shore power cable, which fit into the boat side, and Frankensteined it to a regular 110 volt house plug, which fit on the generator end.
But I don't know exactly how to wire it. I'm just testing continuity right now.
Looks so scary.
Google told me which wires were which, and for once, we got it right on the first try. But then Mary tricked me into putting diesel into the gas generator.
I screwed up.
It's a Honda, it should start right now.
He told me to go fill it up with gas, and I took the container and I had them fill it up with diesel.
Thanks, Mary. I got the diesel out, and once we got the right fuel in there, it fired right up.
Oh, yes.
Alright, so it's charging. Because that was at 12, now it's at 12.6, so...
It's been 2 months since I started taking these mental performance shots called Magic Mind, and they've become a permanent part of my morning routine. Right after the cold plunge, and just before the coffee. When I'm editing these videos, the biggest challenge I face are distractions, and there are so many of them.
Daddy. Bobby.
I noticed that I'm able to get back in the zone way faster now. It's made of 12 natural ingredients based on over 200 scientific studies, like this one on how L-theanine helps reduce anxiety in high-stress response adults, aka me. It does what it says: sharper mind, lower stress, and better energy. I'm taking an extra one this afternoon because I'm dragging, because today was the first day of school.
What do you mean you don't want it? You're gonna give it to me.
Use code DavidShe20 for a huge discount. They have a 100-day, no questions refund policy, so you've got nothing to lose. Unlike how we lost these engine mounts on our last passage. All 4 of them separated, so both 500-pound engines were bouncing around. They're literally zip-tied together right now, and they really need to be replaced. But fixing things abroad isn't as easy as grabbing a part off the shelf and swapping it in. You gotta find it first. And engine mounts for a Yanmar 4JH5E do not exist in Bocas del Toro, or in Panama for that matter.
Trying to get right here, that marina, right here.
I have 4 people aboard on fenders, a dinghy in the water, and the workers on the dock helping me park this boat. This is my one chance to figure this all out, because on the next passage, I'm gonna have to dock this boat solo. For those of you aspiring to boat life, learning all this stuff is not easy. You can take all the courses you want, but it's completely different when you actually get out here, which means a lot of faking like you know what you're doing.
Are you driving?
Yeah. That was the hardest docking.
No, it's not.
You got land right there, and then it's just 2 pylons.
To make matters worse, sailors are the bossiest backseat drivers. It's like they were all born knowing exactly how to do everything. Look at these comments below. I guarantee you, they'll be like, David, why are you backing in? On my boat, we dock bow forward. Oh my God, you're doing it all wrong. David, you're putting your family at risk. Sorry, rant over. Let's get back to how we found those engine mounts. So here's the part finding process that most cruisers go through. Can't find it locally? Cool. What if I buy it from the US and ship it in?
Are we flying on that?
So you find a freight forwarder, but the quote for just the air freight is like $500, and you still have to deal with customs, taxes, and other fees. So then you go with the cargo ship option, but then that's gonna take a month to arrive, which is when you finally realize it's probably cheaper and faster just to hop on a flight and go buy it yourself. And that's exactly what we did. Plus, one of our patrons was gonna hook us up with a nice Victron 110 inverter, which we desperately needed. Once we're back in civilization, I order the engine mounts and a bunch of other stuff. It's literally here in 2 days, and we saved weeks of delays. On the way back to Bocas, we have a layover in Miami, which happens to be where Shane is, who has that Victron inverter for us. He shows me the goods in the back of his trunk. Oh my gosh, this is more than heavy. We gotta fit this 3,000 watt inverter charger.
into the backpack somehow.
But it's way too big and way too heavy. I'm too cheap to buy boxes, so we go to CVS and ask for some boxes from the stockers. I pat it and pack it and double box it. This is our first inverter, so I'm totally babying this thing. This inverter has now made it through 2 Ubers, 2 flights, a night in the hotel storage, and it didn't even get so much as a splash on it during the long boat ride to the marina. And now, this beautiful blue $1,200 inverter is just steps away from its new home.
All right. Oh, how are we gonna get these bags over there? That's quite big space. Ah! Oh no! Oh no! Our baby is going.
Some dude even stopped to help, but it was way too late. She was a goner.
Somebody fell in the water. My inverter charger. Here. Oh, you got enough?
Oh, look at that. Thank you.
Here. I really thought you fell in the water.
I screamed like I did.
It was such a pain bringing down here.
I cut it out of the box as fast as I could, but it was packed really, really well.
Hello.
Oh, it's a little wet. A little wet is okay. Oh, it's a lot wet.
Uh-oh. No.
It's all right. It's only salt water. You got a good attitude.
Can we try it real quick?
I don't know. We'll see.
The salt water was everywhere, and my sad attempt at drying it with my shirt just did nothing.
It's just a little salt water, and I'm wiping it with sweat water.
At least we still had the engine mounts, but I was so bummed out that I just decided to put that off for a bit. Aside from allowing our $1,200 inverter to fall into the water, Mary's purpose of coming back down was so I could bring 2 extra bags of parts. It's literally cheaper to buy a ticket and fly with luggage than to ship 2 bags. Plus, she was still working back then, so she headed back the next day, and I prepared for a short passage. We're sailing from the P on Panama over here to the C over there. And our one and only goal is to see if these new batteries had enough juice to run the autopilot all night.
We're making a passage to Shelter Bay. It's about 30 hours. We go about 5 knots.
Bye-bye, Vocus! I've got 2 crew with me because this is only my second passage, but they didn't need to know that. John's one of our Patreons who's freakishly good at catching fish, and Rich
Rich is a local here, basically. He's been here like 5 years. And then John came down from the States.
It may be a short trip, but this is my first time captaining this boat by myself. Things could not have gone smoother. The current was pushing us, the wind was behind us, and we were able to sail the entire way. There were no storms like last time. No lines got caught in our propellers, and the zip ties were holding strong. The batteries, on the other hand, were not cutting it. They gave out a few hours into the night, but
It's fine. We're running an engine. That's the starboard side. Port 1 is off.
we had to keep them running to charge the batteries to run the autopilot, which is fine for a short passage, but ultimately we need to sail this boat for 2 weeks to get to Texas, and it's not like we can run the engines the entire time. This is the breakwater that's right in front of Shelter Bay, and also the entrance to the canal on the Atlantic side. We've made it! As we got closer to Shelter Bay, I slowly accepted my fate that we were gonna have to spend a lot of money on some new batteries.
All right, so we just docked this beast of a boat. Crew doesn't know, but I've never done that before. It was terrifying, but we made it. We had to come all the way down, spin a 360, back up into this slip right here, and boom. Thank you, brother. You got it, man.
The very next morning, we drove into the city, and I coughed up the $1,200 per battery and ordered a set of 6. Just kidding, I'm way too cheap for that. But what I did do is hop on another flight home, tear apart our camper van, and steal the 2 cheapo Amazon lithium batteries we had installed in there a couple years back.
Oh, the goods. Look at these puppies. 200 amp hours each at 12.8 volts. That's right at about 5 kilowatts.
Fun fact, not only are lithium batteries lighter and more powerful, they also last about 3 times as long. So these were basically brand new.
Let's see what other goodies we can steal from the van.
I helped myself to a solar controller, a couple of breakers, and this
120 volt to lithium battery charger. This is so we can charge from shore power or a regular 110 outlet.
I did have to use a freight forwarder though, and I paid for air freight and delivery to the marina and the hazardous material fee, so that hurt a bit.
Heat shrink, lugs, bus bar. I'm ready.
On the upside, my buddy Tom joined the boat while I was at home, and he cleaned the entire thing. People that clean are always welcome. The last step was to ship these batteries to the freight forwarder in Miami.
Big old box. I thought it was a tiny battery.
2 tiny batteries.
And then my part was done.
Oh, God.
I'm back at the boat. As of 4 a.m. last night, I'm back at the boat. It's time to get her ready. Bring her home. What's up, brother?
Hello, friend.
Meet Tom. He was crew on my buddy Colin's boat, and he's exactly the help we need right now as we prep our boat for the long passage home. Tom is literally immune to fiberglass dust. I've seen him covered head to toe,
I am covered in fiberglass.
and he doesn't itch at all. Too bad I've got no fiberglassing for him to do. We procrastinate for the rest of the day, which is something you'll find yourself doing when you live on a boat. You always feel like you're in a rush, but there's really no deadline. We crush some karaoke at night, and finally start on those engine mounts in the morning.
Very wide. All right, so what happened with these engine mounts? You got a top part, which is metal, the bottom part, which is metal that connects to the boat. Basically, the rubber just separated from the top part, so then everything just pops right off.
Kind of weird that they both happen at the same time. I'm not actually sure how that happened. He zip tied it all, which was a good job, but yeah, it's time to put the real thing back on now.
Personally, I think these zip ties, they hold 200 pounds each. I had 10 of them. That's 2,000 pounds of downward pressure. I feel like that's a whole lot stronger than these engine mounts right here. So I was gonna keep them.
But we didn't smuggle those mounts into Panama for nothing.
He's gonna cut my beautiful zip ties off. These zip ties have gotten us through.
Replacing these engine mounts consists of loosening just 3 bolts per mount and swapping out 2 mounts per engine. We were able to get the first mount off of each engine with no issues, and we get a little cocky.
You can see exactly where it failed. It just decides to separate, and then it doesn't hold it down anymore.
We just have to get this fuel pump out of the way, and then we're thinking another half an hour for the remaining 2 mounts, and then another half hour to install the new ones, and then we were done. Drinks by the pool, soak in the hot tub. Except, that's not how boat work works. The easier the first half of a job is, the harder the second half will be. It's pretty much the law of boat work. Everybody knows that. So these mounts are 10 years old, they're rusted all the way through, and the remaining bolts are completely seized. I don't understand why the first ones came out so easily. Did they just grease half of the bolts just to screw with us? Tom and I tried every tool on the boat. You know, you always start with the pliers because they're right there, and then when you start stripping the head, you're like, oh, okay, let me grab a crescent wrench because who wants to look through a bunch of box wrenches? When that starts slipping, you go for the socket set, but that doesn't work because you already rounded the head with the pliers and the crescent. So then my mind jumps straight to grinder and blowtorch, but Tom talks me down. We decide to soak it in penetrating oil overnight, and then we go attack another side of boat life that's more annoying than you'd think. You know how when you go to Costco, you never spend less than $300? Getting groceries for your boat is kind of like that, but on steroids.
$347. What do you think it's gonna be?
600?
600. I'm gonna go $1 under, $5.99.
This is enough food to feed a small army, which is fitting because Mary and the 4 kids are headed back down here. You know, when we decided to have all these kids, I really didn't consider how much food they would consume.
Gracias. You won. He won.
Huh. I probably wouldn't have had so many.
Whoa. Oh, that bolt's gone.
Uh-oh.
That whole head just came straight off.
Oh god, that's not good. This is exactly what I was worried about. This is why I did not want to change the engine mounts, and I wanted to just trust my trusty zip ties. Luckily, there's a little bit left of that head. Hopefully we can still grab a hold of it and nothing, because there wasn't anything left after he cleaned it off with a chisel. But prepared I was. Is there any left?
Okay.
We had 2 Dremels aboard, and I dug out the one with a flexible shaft. But first we had to get Tom comfortable.
You got a fender?
Yeah.
Put a fender in here, and then I can like lie on it.
All right. You see, he's getting up there in age. His knees aren't the same.
That's better.
I kid. Engine rooms on a Lagoon 450 are tiny. You're up on your toes the whole time, and your legs are stuck open like this, but heels together like butterfly. Tom was able to cut a slot into the shaft and somehow coax the broken bolt out with a big flathead. Then we went over to the other engine, and Tom cut the rounded off bolt head into a square, and then he plied and vice gripped it out. In the meantime, I reached out to one of our patrons in Florida, Stephen McLeod from the Clan McLeod.
The Clan McLeod.
And had him hunt down some M10 1.25 pitch 65mm 316 stainless bolts, which should perfectly match the ones that Tom keeps destroying. He did it. He got it out. Squared off the top, took it off with some spanners. Actually, vice grips. Good job, brother. I knew he could do it. Why? Apparently you're supposed to change these out every 1,000 hours. These engines have about 4,200 something hours, so that means it's 4 times overdue. We got another Patreon coming tomorrow. He is going to bring us these bolts. He's in the US of A right now. He's searching everywhere. I have faith that Stephen McLeod from the Clan McLeod will find us.
I was about to say that.
Have you seen Highlander?
Yeah.
There can only be one. I wonder why they don't make these out of stainless so it doesn't rust so badly. Steven brought us some awesome bolts. He had to go to 10 different stores. Check out what my guest has to stay in. He gets first-hand view of the bulkheads. We've rigged up a light for him, a nice little light, 2 fans, so it's not too hot. It's still the way it is. Perfect. To get these new mounts in, we gotta lift the engine up, but there's no good way to lift the engine up, so we're gonna fashion some straps, use some wood, and basically winch it up. One piece reinforces the back edge of the hatch because it was bending. A second piece bridges the opening, hook up the straps, and then you've got a DIY engine lift for 10 bucks. We're just lifting up the engine. We need to come up about 3 inches. Pop the old one out, check it against the new one, and they don't match. So this old one had a set mount point right here. The new one, it's got a bolt that's adjustable.
Oh, they say, yeah.
Now we slip the new mount in and try to drop it back down slowly, but that's not how a ratchet works. You can winch up in increments, but coming down, it's all the way or nothing at all. The engine weighs 500 pounds wet, and all that weight dropping down can't be good. So what we're gonna do is put some foam underneath so that we can drop it on the foam.
That's never a good sound, is it? Crack!
Re-winch it back up, put thinner foam, drop it again until we're about 5 mils off of the deck, and then we can just drop it onto the deck.
Toes out the way.
We're finishing up day 3 of a job that I thought would take 3 hours, but that's boat work for you. Everything takes 5 times as long, costs 3 times as much, and you usually break something else in the process. Like the port engine. So we've been having this issue where the engine shuts off after 10 minutes. We've changed every single filter, we've changed the rate core, we've run everything through the jerry can instead of the fuel tank. I'll spare you the details because it took the rest of the week to figure out. And this video is already getting long. We still need to sail to Linton Bay, install some lithium batteries.
Okay, we're back to this fuel issue.
Tom eventually gets so frustrated that he just starts replacing everything. He put in a new water separator that was like 150 bucks, replaced the fuel filter a second time that was like 20 bucks, and installed all new hoses and clamps, which was like 50 bucks. But it actually started working.
So coming out of that filter, what are those things called?
Barbs.
Barbs. So the barb was sticking here, and then that was coming out, and then just a hard right angle down, closing off part of that outlet. So I put a new one on, and I've straightened it, so it's a much slower turn down in here. Perfect.
It took a lot longer than it should have, but we got everything fixed just in time for my favorite people to arrive.
Family! 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 Hey, what's up, DiDi Boy?
Now that I knew I could sail and dock by myself, I wanted to take them sailing.
I like your toes, buddy. Are you a pirate? What's going on with those?
I could have sworn the fourth one came down too, but I don't see her in any of this footage, so I guess she's at home with Grandma.
All right, let me go pay the taxi. Joel! Gracias. Gracias. Mucho gracias. Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Go see the family. I love the family. I thought I was coming down here, fixing the boat, sailing it all the way back, and not seeing the family until then. Then Mary stopped working, and they all came down.
What I mean by Mary stopped working is she literally up and quit her job. And she didn't even tell me about it. I had to find out on the Patreon chat because, quote, she wanted it to be a surprise. This girl is fearless. That's why she scares me a little bit. See for yourself. She filmed it.
So today's my birthday. As a gift to myself, I'm going to resign. Almost 6 years of service, enough is enough. The way that they've treated me, getting the director position when I am the most qualified, they can hire their friend for me to have to train her. They think that they can talk to me however they want. They think that I need this job. Little do they know, I don't need this job. I just can't take this anymore. This letter serves as my formal notice of resignation. I don't think I need to go into anything else besides I quit. Hey.
Yes.
I just wanted to drop something off.
Okay.
I quit.
I'm sorry. You're recording me.
There is fish. The two bigs have been on this boat before, but this is DiDi Boy's first time seeing and experiencing the boat. Good job, buddy. High five. You don't remember Mr. Steven?
Your youngest looks just like you did.
Yeah?
That's what I said.
Win. They all look like me.
Right down to the devious smile.
He's the craziest one out of everybody.
This is going to be DiDi Boy's first sail ever, but before we can go, we need a courtesy flag. Apparently, you're supposed to fly the flag of the country you're in, otherwise you could be disrespecting that country. And I love Panama. Luckily, John left us a flag from his sailing club in Dallas, and why spend money on a new flag when this one can be both? Meanwhile, Mary goes out and finds the only Asian grocery store in Panama and spends another $300 on provisions. Provisions are what boat people call groceries, and provisioning means shopping. If you want a boat life, you'll have to start using all these fancy words that sailors use that make us feel special. You can't say kitchen, bathroom, or bedroom because the second it's floating, it's called a galley head and cabin. Your living room is called a salon, or is it saloon? Either way you say it, you'll be wrong. And the couch in your salon? That's called a settee. Not confusing at all.
You've been in Panama for a while. Does that look Panamanian?
Yeah, it does.
It's solid red and blue with a red star under.
If you want to talk about direction on your boat, it's not front, back, left, or right. It's forward, aft, port, and starboard. Not to be confused with starboard, which is the plastic cutting board material you clean fish on. But the worst of all is if you accidentally call this a rope. Because, oh my god, the second a rope is on a sailboat, it magically turns into a line.
Panama, baby.
Unless, of course, it's connected to your dinghy. Then it's called a painter. And if it's tied to your anchor, you have to say rode. There's actually 100 words for rope, like sheet, halyard, outhaul, downhaul, Cunningham, but I digress. As you can see, Tom is in awe of my vexillography skills.
Yeah, but that ain't a Panama.
Oh, there we go. Nice. We got Mexico too. Sweet. Thank you so much.
It's go time, baby. Time for us to leave.
A buddy of mine in the middle of his second lap around the world says that sailing is 40% fixing things, 25% working and chores, 20% exploring and playing, 10% actually sailing, 4% doing nothing, and 1% epic life-changing moments. Today is my 1%. I'm getting to show this little guy what boat life is all about, something I didn't get to do until now. Maybe one day he'll be making videos and he'll flash back to this moment right here to tell the epic story of when his dad took him sailing for the very first time.
How old was I?
May, literally filming right now. Literally. This is what I have to deal with. Mr. DiDi Boy.
No.
Do you remember that sail?
No.
You don't remember any of it?
I don't know.
Do you remember ever sailing?
No.
So you're probably not going to make videos about me taking you sailing for the first time.
No.
Is there anything you want to tell everybody that's watching?
Subscribe so my dad can have friends.
Okay, go. Get out of here. We started this video installing batteries, and months later, we are still installing batteries. This, my friends, is boat life. You fix things and refix things and fix them again. It looks cool, but I don't think most people can put up with the long stretches of But if you enjoy repetitive problem solving and the satisfaction of fixing things with your bare hands, then maybe it's for you.
13.13 volts.
One day when we get to the endless beaches and waterfalls, we'll share that with you as well. But for now, these batteries are the last thing standing between us and a truly seaworthy boat. Don't forget to check out Magic Mind if you want to up your productivity. And next time we're going for the ultimate shakedown cruise in the island chain of San Blas, so we can make sure that this boat is ready to sail all the way back to Texas.